Light is the fastest thing that travels. So for example, I mentioned that light can travel around the circumference of this earth 7 times in less than a second, in less than a blink of an eye. Now imagine if something was 10 light seconds away, right? That means it's pretty far. It is taking the light 10 seconds to reach us. Imagine if it was 10 light minutes away, right? That means it is taking the light 10 minutes to reach us. Imagine if it was 10 light hours away, right? Now, in school when they teach you astronomy, basic astronomy, and they have to tell you the distance between stars, they don't use seconds or minutes or years. They would say the distance between this star and that star is 1.6 million light years. So that means the light is so far, it is taking years to reach us. In other words, when we look into the night sky, we're probably looking at history. We don't even know if this exists anymore because this is the light that is reaching us. And all of this is in the first sky. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, وَلَقَدْ زَيَّنَّا السَّمَاءَ الدُّنْيَا بِمَصَابِيحِ. And we have adorned and beautified the worldly sky with lanterns. Okay? The stars, they act like lanterns. The purpose of it is beautification. Another purpose is alamat, is to guide the people, especially sailors in the past, they use this. Constellations, right? Even in school nowadays. So it's an amazing thing. I mean, look into the creation. We always talk about miracles, and this is good. But these are also miracles as well. The word in Arabic for miracle is ayah. And Allah refers to all of these as ayats. These are miraculous signs in nature. Look at the sun, for example. The sun is 1.3 million times bigger than the earth. You know this? 1.3 million times bigger. And it has always been, circulating in its orbit, and it has always been burning with the same amount of energy. Every day it rises and it sets. And it is so perfect and precise, we have to correct our watches and our clocks based on the rising and setting of the sun, right? And it has always been giving off the same energy. It's not that in the time of the Prophet ﷺ, the sun was brighter and it was coming, earlier. No, it has always been the same. The sun never is late, right? It's never that one day it rises, 2 hours after its time. It was supposed to rise at 6 o'clock and it rises at 10 o'clock or something. It never happens like this. It is so perfect. And these are the signs that Allah mentions in the Quran, in Surah Yasin, Surah Mulk, and in multiple verses in the Quran. Huh?
Can I add something?
No, that's
Can I add something?
Yes, of course.
So my name is Muhammad Imran Khan. I'm a teacher and also a physicist. Physicists are people who study the heavens and earth. And there's so many verses in the Quran. There's one, Inna fi khalaqis samawati wal ardi wa ikhtilafil layli wan nahari la ayatin li ulul albab. Who are these ulul albab? These are people of understanding, of insight. They are modern day scientists. But the thing is that we have bifurcated the religious education from the secular education, which is the education of ilm. The word science was introduced about 1830, and it connotes a different meaning, because since we stopped doing research into heavens and earth, the West took over, and now they are naming things. Our word is ilm. It says, Quran many times, those people fear Allah who have ilm. They study the mountains, the colors. There are so many colors in the mountains. There are some of them are red, some of them are black. If you go into detail, now we have to go into detail, because we get power from these. When we bring out iron, that's a powerful thing. It's like rusted, because iron oxide, it mixes oxygen. And how much benefit the most developed countries or the most powerful countries are those who have iron. So we have to move for a miracle. I means miracle, right? But this is the miracle from God, and it's based on ilm. So we have to slowly move from the word science. I mean, for pragmatic reason, we do have to keep it, because you guys read it in the schools. But the right word is ilm, and the right word is Ulul Albaab, not scientists. We have to move these vocabularies too. So I have written a small research paper. You have to do research on Quran, like this. Do we understand afala yatadabbarun, and reflect, ponder, and learn the meanings of the Quran? So there is an ayah says that how the bee works in nature, and it's all like from the Lord, from our Creator, from Rabb. So we have, when I've been teaching in school, so I've taught how the you see when you go to the school, they put up a video of the planets revolving on around the sun. You have the bees, the nature. For the first grade, they teach you is nature. The first, second grade, third grade, fourth grade. So they teach you little bit of arithmetic, and so once you progress to science in the middle school, you have more knowledge about. You go into detail. So it's all about detail. Once you go into high school, it's physics, chemistry. It's much more elaborate. So we have this Quran is giving us the guidance. It's not a book of science. It's a book of science. Ayah. It's not a book of science. It gives you directions, and it says, Quran mentions Ulul Albaab. The chapter 3 Al Imran 189-200. Read in full context. As men and women of understanding and insight, who consider Allah subhanahu as the ruler having dominion over the heavens and the earth, not enjoining other gods beside him, looking into the heavens and earth with the eye and the modern instruments. Now we have modern instruments to supplement our eyes, complement our eyes, developed to get instruction from nature, like the Hubble telescope. There's a telescope around the earth which is mapping the universe, and we have the electron microscope when we go to the lab and we study cells and all that, and large hadron collider. There's a particle accelerator in Geneva. So this is the work that we have to do. We left it to the West. I'm not criticizing the West. They went to Spain when we were developing there. They read our books, Ibn Rushd, Averroes, and all these people. So Avicenna, Ibn Sina, all are. So it's not being narcissistic. Some people say, "Oh, you're going to your back. All is the past, and you're not developing." Alhamdulillah, we are doing it scattered around the world. There's work being done in UAE, Arab Emirates. There's work being done in Pakistan. There's work being done in other countries, but it's scattered. So what I'm trying to tell you is that, and reflecting on day and night, how it comes, doing zikr. Now the second part is zikr, which what you do in Quran is zikr, right? So, and beside, you recite the 99 names of the Allah subhanahu, Ar-Rahman, Ar-Rahim. So you keep on reciting in your heart. Your heart opens up. There's the eye of the heart beside the eye of the telescope. So if you don't develop your eye of the heart, you don't do nafs. We start with nafs amara, nafs al-lawama, nafs mutmina. There's a guy named Freud. He's also doing that, mapping that, because the discoveries in nature are already there by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. What did Newton do? He didn't discover, he didn't invent calculus, he discovered, because there's already, as brother was saying, that there's so much precision in this heavenly movement of the planets. So it's already there. They were doing, so Freud, he brought up a theory in psychology. It says id, ego, and superego. Well, if you go into detail, it's exactly, it's the first one is like the animal self, nafs amara, and the next you go is ego. It's like more understanding, and you develop some kind of sense, and it's called nafs lawama. Now they don't go to nafs mutmainna. They they get a misdirection. Why? Because they have nafs desires, so they stop there. But see, the Quran is saying 1400 years ago about psychology, about biology, about every. Now some of them are there's misunderstanding that some of them tell us that you go find everything from Quran. Well, if there's things in the Quran, you can't deny them. It is an ayah in the Quran. The heavens, the creation of the heavens and earth is greater, akbar, than the creation of mankind. But most mankind does not understand. So these are the pointers. These are the So why is the Quran not elaborating too much? Because he has left to us, for all of us to, when we go to school, we have to, when we read the secular education, which is, like books like these, earth science, it gives you all how the mountains are as pegs, as the Quran says, and you also mentioned in your talk. So I'm just giving you an idea. So beside that, achieving a purified heart, fulfilling the obligations like praying, feeding the poor and the needy, the wayfarer, respecting parents, paying zakat, performing hajj, pondering on the creation of the heavens and earth, accepting all the creation as truth and made for a purpose. So this ayah says everything has a purpose. Zikr, fikr, shukr, tazkir kainat. When understanding this purpose, Ulul Albaab prays and asks for protection from fire. There's an afterlife. We can't forget that. And ask for forgiveness from sins and bad deeds, and asking to die the death of a truly virtuous. That's our goal. It's separate from what we are being taught in the schools here. I'm not criticizing. They have done a very wonderful job. I appreciate their efforts in the West. and we should take full advantage of them. In return, the Quran accepts the prayers, and then thus the sustainer answers. The Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala answers, I shall not lose the sight of labor of any of you who labors who works in my way, be it man or woman, muzakkar and muannas. Here women are not left out from reflecting, pondering and on nature and learning the noble Quran and its meaning, whether written on the paper form. This is all the ayahs on the paper. This Quran is an ayah on the paper, right? This is like revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But then there's an ayah, Surah Jasiya, Hamim Tanzilul Kitabi Minallah Azizul Hakim, right? This book is from the mighty and the wise. Inna fi samawati wal ardi laayatin lil mu'minin. There's no difference. You see the next ayah, in the heavens and earth there are signs and ayah for. So there's another Quran. There's another extension, unlimited. In so many ayahs. One place it says, if the kalamat would never finish of the Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's called the hadith of Allah. That if you bring the oceans and if you bring the trees, right, and you keep on writing, still they won't finish. So this is so amazing that in Surah Jasiya we have this ayah, and now that we do, so when we go into the detail, then we study the bee. What is the bee doing? And there's a recent research that the bee, when it goes to a plant, the plant tells it by electrical signals that some other bee came and they took all the nectar. You know how the bee works with the nectar and goes to other plants and how pollination takes place. You study in the school. So this is all a lesson from the Quran. This Quran that we have here. So inshallah we'll continue our discussion. Ameen. Subhanallah.